Welcome to Informe, a social media conversation for October 2nd. I'm Nate Manahan.
And I'm Dustin Hickle.
Today, we're going to go through a little bit of a self-disclosure that we are going through a process and learning LinkedIn.
Yes, we are really digging into it. We're learning about our personal pages, what to do with our brand pages, how to make it better. 2 really cool articles today.
Yeah. All this, we're going to just kind of, talk about what we're doing, and then we'll report back in a couple weeks, and we want to learn from you. All this right here on a great conversation. It's a social media conversation known as Informe. Keep watching. Welcome to Informe, and today it's LinkedIn.
Yeah.
We're gonna dive in. And full disclosure, we are in a process of trying to understand personal and professional and corporate goals, strategy for LinkedIn. So we brought up 2 articles here that we're just gonna kind of dive into. And then we're going to kind of just, what are we going to do? What can we do?
What we think about LinkedIn and what we've learned.
And what we're going to try to do, because a lot of it we're in process. And that's what we hope this show is. Informe is all about a conversation, trying to make sure that social media is down to earth and every day for any small and medium-sized business. And we give you some tips that you can take home. So let's talk LinkedIn. So let's dive in.
Totally.
Let's do your article first, which I am just jumping on. So I haven't even read the whole thing yet.
That's all right. It's a read-write article. The title I thought was, first of all, very catchy. Don't endorse your friends for murder and other LinkedIn mistakes to avoid.
Okay, and that is, because what happens is we have a friend and that has endorsed me for being a diva before.
Right.
And I have removed that from my, but just so you know, maybe I am a diva. It's not going to stay on my LinkedIn. You're welcome to try to promote me as a LinkedIn diva.
But it will not last.
And he didn't endorse me for murder, but there are things that you want to make sure that aren't happening on your LinkedIn profile.
Right, absolutely.
Murder would be one.
This is a really cool article. The author here goes into talking about how one of her friends, they had a joke, that they just kind of continued on to LinkedIn, and the person endorsed her for arson and for murder. And just out of curiosity, she's like, well, I'm going to accept the murder one and let it be posted onto my page for people to see, just to see if LinkedIn actually lets you do that. And believe it or not, LinkedIn lets you do that. So that appeared on her profile. Anybody and everybody probably who's connected to her and they were on their news feed saw that now she accepted an endorsement.
It's like that new,
for
I haven't
murder.
seen the show, but the new ABC show, How to Get Away with Murder.
Right?
Yeah, I was like, well, that's not something you probably want on your resume.
or you make it so obvious by putting it on your LinkedIn profile.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's first of all, it's surprising that they haven't kind of weeded out words like that and things that you don't exactly want to see on your LinkedIn profile, I think. But what she goes on to say here is she recognizes how easy it is to put false things on your LinkedIn page, false endorsements. So that's almost a little bit, kind of makes you wary of, man, anybody could just put that they're really good at social media. For me, as a social media marketer, anybody could just say, I'm great at social media, and whatever.
LinkedIn is a great tool. It's amazing at B2B. It has some absolute implications in B2C. It's great for the HR and hiring process. But it will be even better if we're all good stewards of it. And being a good steward simply means what I put out there is true, and what I allow others to put about me is true. And it doesn't have to be all, talk about what you can put in your summary. It can be personal. It can even show that you have weaknesses and give, that, hey, there are things you do better than other things. It doesn't have to be all let's glitz and glamour and let's put the best foot forward at all times. But we have to think through what we're saying. And the more we endorse people for things we actually know about people. Like, I love it that I occasionally get endorsements for people for things that I do because LinkedIn's suggesting, but I've never done it with them. They know nothing about what I do.
Yeah.
And so they're suggesting, Nate knows a lot at fundraising. I've never done fundraising with you. You know nothing about that. It got suggested to you on LinkedIn.
It's an easy click.
Now, at the same time, I really like on this article that you brought up, I was looking, it says, let's see if don't neglect your non-virtual networking. And that's what because I'm going through and I've been expanding my network and my connections. And I have been choosing people, and my rule of thumb right now is if I've never been in a room with you where I could shake a hand, maybe I've shaken your hand or not, but if I've never been in the same room with you, I'm not going to right now ask to be your connection.
And I love that. I love that rule of thumb.
And then what I hope that forces me to do is interact with LinkedIn as a virtual source, but make it push toward the in-person opportunities that are going to come.
Absolutely.
And I think that, to me, there are so many things that can happen virtually, but there's still, you have to remember that there's no replacement for standing in front of a person, shaking their hand, looking them in the eye, and saying, look, this is what we're going to do together.
And even something as simple as, and obviously that's the most powerful, but even something simple, like you said, don't neglect your real connections, even if it's sending someone a text message or picking up the phone and making a phone call, or even sending an email just to them, not using a social network, and just checking up on life and how they're doing and following up with them that way. You can't replace that with LinkedIn.
Yeah.
LinkedIn will never replace that. I love that one.
See, and I would love, because some of the things I've been using LinkedIn for recently is I've been looking at what other agencies are doing and other people are doing, and friends that I have that work for other agencies, and I've been looking at the work they're putting out. And what I would love is a resource of LinkedIn, whether it's a plugin from a third party or and this is using yet another social media, but wouldn't it be great to be part of a conversation, somebody post an article and say, hey, at 3 o'clock we're going to meet here as a Google Hangout and discuss this. And LinkedIn at this point, everything is very written. You can send email and stuff, but there's that interface, that next step, because I kind of think there's like 3 steps. You have the interaction on the digital, it's all print, it's all, not print, but it's all just text. Yeah, thank you.
Yep.
And then you go to like maybe it's Skype or Google Hangout or some type of FaceTime or something like that where you can interact and you're interacting in person, you're talking, maybe it's on the phone. And then that last step is actually getting together, being in the same room. Maybe you end up at a conference together. Maybe you're doing a pitch to them because you're selling them on something, but it's getting in the same room with them. And I would love to see LinkedIn make that a possibility and make it actually more of a formal process and funnel process.
Yeah, absolutely. So LinkedIn, if you're watching, maybe consider some of
As
those
if
things.
you really
and I'm
care.
sure that you have to think that LinkedIn with knowing exactly kind of who they are to all of the rest of us, you have to think that they've got that in their back of their minds or they're working on it or something like that. But we hope it happens. We hope it actually comes soon because it'd be really cool to see. Man, I went to LinkedIn and I connected with Nate, and then all of a sudden we had a meeting together, and now we're working together. That'd be really cool if we could have that face-to-face interaction in between there. I want to shift. There's a couple other ones in this article. They're just like weird, little things like never flirt with your connections.
Seems
don't
like a
make
bad
your
idea.
avatar a cartoon character.
It's interesting to me how people choose their avatars. Like mine is my headshot, professional headshot
absolutely.
from here. It's actually the last headshot that I'm currently using on LinkedIn. But I always use the more professional headshot. There are a lot of people on there that are professionals, but they have like a more, people, their fly fishing shot or their, and I'm intrigued at why people choose that. And I think it says something about you, and so think about it.
Yeah.
And don't use a cartoon. I don't know what that says positive about you if you have My Little Pony.
Unless you're in like an
Unless you
artist
are,
and you drew that and created it and it's like a well-recognized cartoon. Like if you created SpongeBob, well then I still wouldn't do it maybe, but maybe it makes more sense.
Or like, but if
something.
you are an artist and that is your own creative, that is for sure. For me, you don't want to see my art as my avatar. And what?
My art never left kindergarten. Did your art ever get past that?
I think maybe 3rd grade, I
Okay.
had a nice tree that made an art show in elementary school. But then beyond that, because I remember I was very proud. It was a tree landscape I can remember very well. And I still, when I sit down with my kids and draw, I start with trees because I'm pretty good at
Because
that.
you're good at this. I can paint a little bit, but if it comes to drawing, it's just like it's a mess.
But if some animal needs to be around the trees,
I usually draw stick figures, or I can draw a really crude, horribly ugly horse. And that's about all I can do.
See, this is why that should not be your avatar.
Never do that.
Okay.
Let's go a little bit more professional rather than talking about our art and go with our Forbes article that you brought to us.
Okay, so here's what I am right now getting ready to redo my summary, and my summary is neglected. I have not spent any time on it, so I've been reading up and watching a webinar. One, Hinge Marketing has a great archived webinar on LinkedIn. I would highly recommend it. I love recommending other people's good content. This Forbes article just from a couple days ago, 13 ways to know if your LinkedIn summary is a winner or is a snoozer. I think the summary, first, I've been reading a lot about what people put as their title, whether they put their actual title, and that's if you're the CEO of a company, I think that's descriptive enough. People understand what that is. Right. But a lot of other titles, people don't understand what you do, and so the chief deliverer of happiness. That's a local person. What does that mean? So giving a description of what you do, and then that summary, fleshing it out. And I liked what Forbes did. 13 ways that you can ask, am I really making sure that I'm giving the most out of my summary? Let's each take a couple.
Yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and take the first one right there because it's very, another thing that we do, we spend a lot of time on is inbound marketing for businesses. and this is very inbound marketing for your own personal brand, does the opening sentence or phrase or headline make you want to read more?
Yeah.
It's exactly what we talk about in your blog or on your social media posts or anything like that. Getting the reader to be attracted. They're like, man, I want to learn more about this
Right.
person, in this case on LinkedIn. Really interesting. My phrase or headline probably does not make people want to read more right now.
Yeah.
This is what I do. This is my job. It's not that interesting.
And in our pre-talk discussion about this, one of the things we were talking about is when we start seeing people play with their LinkedIn profile, we think one of two things. One, they're about to do some B2B sales. Full disclosure, that's what I'm doing.
Right.
Or two, they're out there looking for a new job. And so we get worried and nervous when we see somebody cleaning up, and especially if they're your employee. And I wonder if what would help us a lot is in businesses, especially businesses that focus B2B, and you're selling some type of service or some type of consulting or an insurance to B2B or something like that, where all of our employees, we actually say, here, let us help you with the summary. Let's talk about what our summary should be.
Yeah.
Because you can have a great company page, but that company page is only as good as the parts that were built it up. And the company is you and I, or the company is and so our LinkedIn pages and our profiles specifically should be looked at as a whole, and then as individuals. And I think, to me, that opening sentence, talk around with your colleagues, go to your family members, really spend some time on the content. If you have a content team, one of the things I'm going to be doing is, dragging our content team into this and saying, hey,
they're going to love you for it.
Yeah, I know. Hey, guys, you guys are helping with my LinkedIn summary. I'll take the first look at it, but I want to know, what do you think of this first sentence? What do you think? Because the next one to me that I think is very interesting, number 6 on this list, does it contain a mix of 78% professional to 30% personal? And I think that's important. It's not about just putting my best foot forward, hey, I'm a corporate genius. Okay, yeah, everybody thinks they are, everybody thinks they do it. But I'm a real person who's striving to do X. And I'm doing it in multiple areas of my life. And it may be that I'm a Pacers fan and that I'm a Michigan Wolverines fan. Oh, we stink. And I'm also going to make sure that they know that I'm a family man, but I also love branding. I love marketing. I love storytelling. I love nonprofits. I love doing good. These are the things. And all of that makes up me. And that's why you should do business with me.
Yeah, having that's something that I'm interested and curious about too, because I'm not sure. I mean, again, my personal profile as a social media guy, I don't really have any personal information on there.
Yeah.
It's this is what I do, this is what I'm capable of doing, this is what I can do for you, this is what I've done in the past. I love golf, and I love, fine wine, and I love, all these things that make me, and like, man, how cool would it be for you to work with another person who's a huge Michigan Wolverines fan, but everything else that you do blends together too.
Yep.
I mean, that's that little piece that takes it over the edge. Man, I really love working with Nate. He wears his Michigan Wolverines polo shirt every time we meet or something, It gives that little extra connection that people are just like, wow, I love that person, not just what that person does.
Yeah. I'll let you choose
I'll
one
take the
before,
next one.
that way I don't steal your next one. But
well, we kind of been talking about it. Does it exude your personal brand attributes?
Yeah.
It's sometimes it's hard to think of ourselves and to talk about ourselves and to promote ourselves about how great we are at this and how great we are at that. It gets a little awkward, at least for me sometimes. But to be able to sit down and say, I'm really a really good communicator, I'm a really good people person, I connect well, I get tasks done, I'm a doer, whatever it is.
Right.
Being able to put that in there put those things in there that talk about you as a person and what you're capable of doing, not just your work history.
Yep.
Big, huge highlight point.
Yeah. I like number 13, and this is something I need to figure out how I'm going to do it, but do you augment your summary with images, videos, presentations, documents? Helping people. LinkedIn is a place where you can put the best of the best. Twitter's where you share every presentation you do. And hey, I'm not good at this. I need to. I have 4 or 5 presentations I've done in the last year. I should put them up on SlideShare.
Absolutely.
And then put those SlideShares through Twitter. But only probably one of those would I want on my LinkedIn page. But there are lots of other presentations. There's some articles that I've written for some stuff that may be good places and pieces to put on there. And I need to think through it. But I think, how do you best promote yourself? And that also is promoting your business.
Yep.
And making sure all your staff is doing that. If you have somebody who writes a really good memo, is there some way to get that into what's going on in your LinkedIn? I don't know. But I'm thinking there's content out there that can be well put onto people's individual, because we could put it on the corporate page.
Sure.
We could. And there are times to do that. And I'm still trying to figure out the balance. But to be honest, on B2B, it's still B to person. I mean,
That's what we've talked about before,
Yeah.
is just being H to H. It's still a human interacting with a human from
Yeah.
one business to another.
Yep.
So yeah, I think it's really interesting. I wonder about on your business page. I've been working on our business page a little bit, and it's interesting because you have that. It shows up the list of everybody who's employed there. And can you imagine if you landed on a business page and they saw the list of employees and they clicked through and everybody just had well-written, personal, from the top to bottom, from the CEO to an intern, had a profile that was just wowing you.
Yeah.
That would wow you even more than a really great post on video.
And it's
advertising.
because it's the way that LinkedIn just naturally works. When you go to the Facebook page of any company, you can see what people like it, but you don't, for the most part, don't see what employees are there.
Right.
They may be the leading commenters, but you don't get the picture. When you come into LinkedIn, it's immediately the sum of all parts.
Yep.
And the parts in this are the people, and that's why it's so important to make sure that we not only look at the corporate page, but we look at the individual page. And that's what I'm personally trying to dig through and figure out.
Yeah, so we're going to report back to you on this and how it goes for us. Maybe we'll just drop it into some other show, so you have to watch all of them.
Yep.
No, we'll probably tell you when it's coming.
It's been a while since, and we're kind of gradually figuring out our own recording schedule and what we're doing at these shows. But we're also waiting. Salcha is a product. We do this part. We are here to make sure that you guys have the best content possible. Mm-hmm. And in social media, there is such a depth. There's a huge amount of stuff we can cover.
Yeah.
And we try to get really small little tidbits and be extremely practical. And we'd love to hear from you. If you have feedback, you can interact with us. So one, you can come find me on LinkedIn. I probably won't accept your friendship, so that'd be a bad idea because I don't know you. But find me on Twitter at NKManahan, and I will interact with you, or at Salcha, and I will interact with you. Or you can email us at info@salcha.com, and that email will eventually get to us. You can connect with me those ways. How about you?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, I'm just like Nate. I want to meet people. I want to connect with people on LinkedIn that I actually know. But Twitter, I'm totally cool with just connecting with people and learning about people and having conversations. So find me on Twitter at Dustin Hickle, or on Google+. I know, Google+. Dustin Hickle, let's circle up.
All this social media every week. We want to know how you're using LinkedIn. If you have great tips, tricks, anything you're doing on LinkedIn that's really working, tell us, and we'll highlight it on one of these videos, maybe a blog post. There might be things we never know we might do on Salcha. If you want to look more, there's tons of articles. There's like 3 or 4 articles I know just on the Salcha Academy that you can look up on how to use LinkedIn. Make sure you read those. All this on Salcha, on Informe, because this is a social media conversation, and we're so glad you joined us. Watch us. Yeah, we'll hope to see you next time. Thanks.